Welcome back to another video on Mana Sports Talk. I'm gonna get right to it. This is a video on short notice. We got major breaking news. Let's get to it. You guys know what this video about. It's about James Harden. Breaking news, if you didn't see it today, it was major breaking news. The NBA blockbuster trade just took place. The trade of your dreams, pretty much. The Houston Rockets traded James Harden to the Brooklyn Nets. This is by far one of the biggest trades I have ever seen in the NBA. This is why the NBA is amazing, because these trades happen a lot. This is a huge, big time trade. It's huge entertainment. This is big time, big blockbuster. I mean, this is huge. James Harden going to the Brooklyn Nets. It's a 4-team trade. It's so complicated. So many players, so many teams. Gotta break it down. Let's get right to the trade. Obviously, you know, James Harden, the legend himself, a top 3 player in the NBA, arguably the greatest scorer the league has ever seen, has been shipped to Brooklyn. He has been disgruntled with the Rockets the whole time. That's how it is. I'm a Rockets fan. It's unfortunate to see him go. He was probably one of my favorite players. As you see the jersey right behind me, I'm gonna miss the dude. But the fact is that his legacy is gonna be remembered here, that he came up short. He was never able to get it done. He was never able to get that chip for us, that ring. He just came up short and is going to be known as a playoff choke artist. He kept choking in the big time moments, was never able to get it done. And that's what he's going to be remembered for. Obviously, he is the second best player in franchise history for my Houston Rockets. Besides Hakeem Olajuwon, the dude broke all kinds of records. Most points, most threes, most free throws, everything. He had all the records you could ever imagine, but just couldn't get that one thing which we all wanted, a championship. But now he's going to Brooklyn. That was the number 1 team on his list where he wanted to go, and he goes to Brooklyn, part of one of the greatest super teams you've ever seen on paper. James Harden, Kyrie Irving, who knows where Kyrie is, honestly, but James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, those 3, the big 3, probably one of the best big 3 you'll ever see in the NBA, besides KD, Steph, and Clay. This is going to be legit. This is a huge trade. Can Brooklyn get it? For Brooklyn, it's NBA Finals win or bust. It's a championship or bust season now for the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, look what they gave up. Let's go over the trade. So the Nets receive Harden plus a 2024 second round pick from the Cavaliers. The Rockets. This is where it gets a bit complicated. Obviously, the Rockets got the most out of this. They got tons of picks, tons of players, because you're trading arguably one of the best players in NBA history and in the league currently right now, the best player. So the Rockets get 8 first round picks pretty much. You get 3 Brooklyn first round picks for 2022, 2024, 26. You get a Bucks first round pick from 2022, and you get 4 Brooklyn first round pick swaps. Pick swaps basically means that if the Rockets are lower on the draft lottery, if they have a lower pick than the Nets, they can swap with the Nets and pick a higher overall. Like, let's say the Nets are like 13th, the Rockets are 17th, the Rockets can switch and get the 13th, and the Nets can go back down and get the 17th. Something like that. That's what a pick swap is basically. But they get 4 of those and 4 first round picks as well, so that's pretty much 8 picks if you think about it. Plus Victor Oladipo, plus Dante Exum, and you get Kurucs also from the Nets. So you get, Kurucs, he's a role player, not even a role player, you hardly hear about him. He'll come off the bench, I think, for the Rockets. Dante Exum, a pretty good defender, another role player off the bench. Currently he's injured, I don't know. And then obviously Victor Oladipo, the big acquisition for the Rockets. The Rockets are looking for a franchise cornerstone player plus a package of picks. They definitely got the package of picks that you'd want. It's probably the best draft package you'll ever get for a player. It's in NBA history. You're not going to get a better draft pick package than what the Rockets got. Victor Oladipo came off his terrible ruptured quad tendon. He's coming back. He's playing a lot better. The Rockets got him as well. But going back to James Harden, who is now on the Brooklyn Nets, who are the who are the Nets getting in James Harden? They're getting an 8-time All-Star, the leading scorer the past 3 years. Arguably, it's been discussed that he was the greatest scorer ever. The 2018 MVP, he averages roughly about 30 points a game. He's been 34, 35 points a game the past 2 seasons. Leads the league in free throws and stuff. Has taken so many threes. 35% from 3, has taken so many. And currently, this is surprising, this is a career high in assists, about 10.4 assists per game. This is where it gets really interesting. I'm going to be breaking this down. Alright, so look, this is a big deal for the Brooklyn Nets. This is a big deal for James Harden. This is what he wanted. He wanted to go to Brooklyn. He wanted to have a chance at a chip. As you see, probably one of the best defensive plays of James Harden's entire career. I love that. But, by the way, this is massive. James Harden, can he get it done? This is what he wanted. He has to deliver now. There are no excuses. If he doesn't do it now, he'll always be talked about as a choker. He'll never get it done. He has to do it now. All the pieces are in place. Especially, you would expect Kyrie Irving at some point to play. I mean, I don't know what he's doing, honestly. It's pretty silly. You're getting paid a lot of money, and Kyrie's not showing up. But this is how James Harden's got to get it done. He has everything he needs. He's on a super team. This is how he can get a ring and make the critics be quiet. But it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in this system. It's going to be it's so hard to see how this is going to work, honestly. I have my doubts about this. We all know James Harden, he's a scorer. He's an amazing scorer. But people tend to forget, he can pass the ball. He's a willing passer. He's a great passer. People always say, oh, look at Luka doing these assists. Harden has been doing that for so many years. I mean, the media and all, they just forget about how great of a passer Harden is. He's very willing at it too. But he's going to have to do a lot more passing, I think, if he's going to be successful with the Nets. He's going to have to pass the ball more, give it out. He can't always hold on to the ball, play ISO the whole entire time. That won't work. And what I'm scared about is if you have these huge personalities coming together in Brooklyn. Obviously, Kyrie is such a big personality. And then James Harden, and then Kevin Durant. How are these 3 guys going to play with each other? I mean, do you need like 20,000 balls? I mean, do you need 10 basketballs to play with these guys? Each person needs to have their own basketball. I mean, like, how is it going to work? Can they share the ball effectively? We saw last year with Westbrook and everything, how that worked. It just didn't work out, and they went their separate ways. But he's going to have to change his playing style. That's how it's going to be. Kobe, as the late, great Kobe Bryant once said, James Harden has to change his playing style. He referred to that, saying you can't win a ring unless you do that. And if you remember, Kobe did change his playing style. He used to be that ball hog who didn't pass the ball. He changed it. And that's what Harden has to do also. He has to be a willing passer. He has to pass the ball. And maybe he can do some cuts. Maybe he can play off the ball. You see what Steph does. I don't know if he's fit enough to do that. He's a little bit on the fat side, but honestly, but can he do that? That's what I'm worried about. That's why I'm interesting to see. It's going to be so interesting. I can't wait to see when James Harden gets on this team. It's going to be so fun to watch how these guys play together. If it works out, this could be lethal. The main thing for James Harden is, can he change the narrative? Can he change the narrative of him coming up short in the playoffs? This is what he's known to do. This has been his problem, and this is why I think people don't consider him. They always critique him because of this fact. He hasn't won a championship. He comes up short. Whatever he does, something goes wrong. He doesn't do something. He turns the ball over, misses a shot, bricks it. I mean, he has to finish. He cannot allow that to be his narrative for his NBA career. He needs to win a ring here, and he's got all the pieces to do it. He's going to have to change his playing style. He's going to have to adapt. He's going to have to be willing to adapt. Because when CP3 was here, I remember, when CP3 was on the ball, James Harden used to be out of the picture in the corner sulking. Like, come on. You got to be more interactive. You got to be willing to change and accept your role. This is how you win a championship. And he has to do that. He has to be willing to do that, first of all. Otherwise, nothing is going to get done. I mean, this thing honestly could just explode and just not work out at all. You have these 3 big personalities coming together. Each one of them wants the ball. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work. You might see some big arguments. It's going to be hard to figure out. And I feel sorry for Steve Nash. I mean, he's got to make this work. He's got to pull out his inner Phil Jackson and somehow make this work make these guys mesh and come together, build this chemistry. I mean, it's going to be a tough task. It's going to be hard. But I think Harden will be willing to change because he's desperate for this ring. And I think he might change, but if it doesn't work out, it's going to be an explosion and it's going to be so fun, entertaining to watch, honestly, as an outsider. But look, the Nets gave up so much. They gave up their entire future. They have no picks. And they have no depth. Their bench, they have pretty much no bench. They gave up Karis LeVert. They gave up Jared Allen, Prince. You gave up all of these guys. Who's going to be on your bench? I don't know. The Nets had the deepest roster in the league before this trade, and now they don't have any of that. It's just going to be weird. I mean, and now on the defensive end, they're not really good. They're probably going to be one of the worst defensive teams in the league now. Harden is not a great defender. You obviously know that. Kyrie is not a great defender. KD, not really a great defender. This team might give up 130 points a game, and they're going to have to put up 150 on the board. That's just how it's going to work. They have the coaches to do that. Obviously, Steve Nash, Mike D'Antoni, offensive-minded coaches. Mike D'Antoni might be another reason why James Harden went to Brooklyn. Maybe Mike D'Antoni can work with James as he was his head coach in Houston. James liked Mike D'Antoni. Maybe they can work out something, how he's going to play in the system with the other guys. There has to be less isolation. It would be stupid to see isolation, because then you'd see Harden just dribbling, and wait till the shot clock reaches 3 and then take a step back 3, which he bricks. Like, you don't want to see that happen. And then you see Kyrie and KD standing outside. That's not going to work. He has to change, like I said. And the narrative is right here for James Harden to do it. We'll see. This is one big super team. They got some problems right now. And if this doesn't work, it's going to be a major issue for Brooklyn. They pretty much ruined the franchise, honestly. No future, no bench. Just these guys. And these guys are going to be on the older side in a couple of years. So they got to win at least 1 ring, if not 2 rings, in the next 3 years. This is must-win championship or bust team right now. They've got to get it done. And there's no other choice for the Nets. And if it doesn't work out, it's going to be a sad story. It's going to be interesting to watch. Can't wait to see all these guys play. And James Harden's going to have to change. But I wonder how it's going to work. But if it works out, James Harden, he can pass the ball. If they double team James Harden, look out. He can pass it to the open guy, whether that's KD one-on-one or Kyrie one-on-one. Because if they double James, one of these guys are going to be one-on-one who are going to score automatically. And if you double KD, James is going to be one-on-one. It'll be so hard to guard if they get this right. That's if they get this right. And I'm sure the Lakers are a little bit intimidated, but right now I still think the Lakers are still the favorite. They have the chemistry all worked out. They have a nice bench, a really deep bench, and all the players are playing beautifully together. And that's what I'm worried about. There's no chemistry on this team. How can they play together with no chemistry? That's a little bit worrying, but we'll see how it goes. Now for the Rockets, as a Houston Rockets fan, I'm okay with this, honestly. James didn't want to be here. You got rid of him. His personality was kind of ruining this team, and I'm happy DeMarcus Cousins was getting a bit upset. Boogie was, John Wall. So I'm happy these two got what pretty much the Rockets got what they wanted. James got what he wanted. The Rockets gave James Harden everything. He never repaid them. James Harden was like, I did everything you could. No, you didn't, man. You didn't do everything you could. If you did everything you could, you would have brought us a ring, which he didn't, unfortunately. And that's just sad, but I'll still remember James Harden as a Houston Rocket. But look, now the Rockets got all the picks back that they needed. The Rockets got everything back right now. They got all the picks they lost from Westbrook and Harden. Westbrook and CP3 being traded. They got their future set. They got Oladipo. They got a couple of players. That's most important. They got their future back, plus additional picks. People are sleeping on Victor Oladipo. He's gotten a lot better. I know he had that terrible injury, but he's playing really good this year. He's averaging 20 points per game this year. He's obviously declined a little bit in the athleticism department. We all know that. He's not going to be as great of a dunker as he once was. The athleticism won't be as good. But he's still really good. He's still a really good player. Maybe a top 20 player in this league right now. I would say maybe top 15, top 10, possibly. The 2-time All-Star. He has the clutch gene, which I really like, as you see a clutch shot there. He has that clutch gene. He can make clutch shots, which is awesome to see. I'd really love to see that some clutch shots. He can shoot pretty good from the outside, about 35%, and overall 42%. But he's getting better and better. I hope the Rockets can keep him. I mean, look at this backcourt. John Wall and Victor Oladipo. Man, that's like probably the best defensive backcourt you could get. These two players are both really great defenders. The Houston Rockets are going to be a much better defensive team right now. This backcourt is really good. Obviously not as offensive, but really great defensively. They attack the rim. I really like... I want to see Victor Oladipo on the Rockets. I'm excited for this. As you see, a deep shot. Very nice from Victor. I think the Rockets should be... I'm looking forward to this team. I won't give up. I think they'd be like an 8 seed right now, the Rockets. Maybe make the play-in tournament, sneak into the playoffs. We'll see how the chemistry goes. They'll build it. I think Wall and Oladipo will work together really well. You still have Christian Wood, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, Daniel House, McLemore. You still have pieces. I think you can make the playoffs. And it's just going to be a rebuilding process for the Rockets as they get better and better. And I hope they do. So you made it to the end of the video. Please go down, hit the like button, and please hit the subscribe button and enable notifications on my channel for your future NBA content. I came out this with the fly because I had to get my reaction on this biggest trade in the NBA in the last couple of years, man. It's been epic. It was great to do this. Be sure to be on the lookout for any more NBA content. Make sure to enable notifications for live streams. And I hope to see you in the next video.